Yo! What is going on, everyone? How are we? Welcome back. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Wow. Who else is excited? Who else is excited? I am so pumped. What a day, what a couple of hours we have ahead of us. Hopefully everything is working. Hopefully everything is functioning. First time doing this since last season. So yeah, this is 2026 F1 Fantasy. Let's get this show on the road. G'day, folks. Welcome back for the first F1 Fantasy stream of 2026. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all doing very well. It's a huge day in the F1 fantasy world, as I'm sure you're aware. And great to see so many of you in the chat already. It's going to be a pretty exciting, couple of hours ahead. Hopefully the stream holds up all right. There's a couple of new widgets and such, as you can probably see. So, yeah. If you watched my streams last year, you definitely would have noticed we had some teething issues. But hoping a 2026 streaming season is one for the books. So yeah, already a lot of you in the chat. Obviously, a lot of you excited for the game launch. So if you're new around here or you're an existing F1 fantasy manager and back for another bite at the apple, you know what the drill is. Show the video some love. Show the channel some love. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Already so many OGs in the chat here as well that I can see. Just let me pull that up. I think we're good now. Just refresh that. Yeah, look, the glasses were a controversial start to the first stream of the season, but look, what's a stream without a bit of spice? Anurag, thank you for joining as a member, a champion tier member on the channel. Having a great chat with you earlier in the Discord, so thank you again for joining. Nixie, Realsy, Jeremy, hope you're all doing fantastic, my friends. Great to have you back again. Petros, I'm doing very well. Hope you are as well. The moustache is still here. Hasn't gone anywhere yet. I don't think it's going to be here forever, but yeah, it's not going to be anywhere close to the quality of the facial hair that Rain, who is also streaming right now, has. Oh, come on, Dean. Can't give me that. 4-1 Arsenal. That's just not fair. But come on, us Spurs fans, we know what pain is. I go for Ferrari as well. So I know all about pain and suffering. The game is not live yet. Obviously not. But you know, you've got to have a call to action for people who haven't joined these streams. Got to have a little bit of a what's the word? A temptation to get people to jump in. It'll be live in 25 minutes. So I think we'll be all right. What else have we got in the chat here? It's live in 30 minutes. Yes, indeed it is. Thanks, Anurag. Appreciate it always, my friend. There'll be loads of issues. Yeah, there will be loads of issues. 100% there will be. 10k subs is the goal before the first deadline. For this stream, I'd love to get to 9,700. I don't think that'll be possible because a lot of the new joiners, new players usually trickle in the few days before the deadline. So, 9,600, 9,700 doesn't really make a difference. Where do we know from that the game is dropping now? The Formula One channel announced it, or the Formula One page on Twitter announced it yesterday, and we can. That's my page. Actually, that's probably the fastest route to getting to the post. I've had to zoom out a little bit because again the stream elements. Hopefully you can see that. It is a little zoomed out, so maybe we'll try and zoom in a bit. How about this? That's probably a bit better, isn't it? So yeah, new teams, familiar faces, ready to make their mark. These were the 6 price reveals teased. As you can see in the top right hand of your screen, the 2 drivers that I think are the best budget picks at the time of the known prices being announced are probably Bortoleto and Bottas for me. I think you could make an argument for Lindblad. Perez as well is only $0.1 million more than his teammate. So I think there's a lot of optionality in the budget driver department, and I think for the 2 Audi drivers, the 2 Cadillac drivers, and Lindblad, I think they'll be the 5 cheapest assets in the game. I don't think there'll be anyone priced lower than those 5. I think Stroll, even Lawson, they'll come in above Hulkenberg's $6.8 million mark. So yeah, I think we've got a lot to look forward to for sure. If Spurs get relegated, will you start doing F2 fantasy? I'm not even 7 minutes into the stream and you're coming for my neck, Dean. Do we know anything about possible changes to the game, or will it be a surprise? Yes. I have an inkling of a couple of different changes that I might share 5 minutes before the game goes live. So hang around until 11 GMT, 10:55 GMT. And I might be able to tease a few different things that I believe have been rolled out this season. So yeah, there will be changes. I think it's positive changes. I can't speak for every single one, but of the couple I'm aware of, there are. I think it's definitely in the right direction. Just from things I've pieced together, from things I've read. Or at least, anyway, hang around for 5 minutes before the game goes live, and I'll be able to potentially allude to what those are, or at least if I'm not 100% sure, you'll find out at 11 o'clock. So yeah, let's honestly 22 minutes, 22 minutes until the game goes live. A couple of things I want to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about what you guys want to see as soon as the game goes live. What we want to check out. Do we want to look at prices? Do we want to look at the game rules? Do we want to look at something else? Do we want to build our team initially? I don't really mind. So I'm going to start a poll, and let's see. Engage with your audience. Start a poll. What should we look at first? Prices. Game rules, scoring changes, something else. Comment below. All right. First poll of the season. First poll of 2026. What should we look at first when the game goes live? Do we want to take a look at the prices? Do we want to mock up a team quickly? Oh no. Bit of lag on my side already in YouTube Studio, but I think it's holding it together. If not, just as I expected. I think, honestly, I probably am in need of a new laptop. The RAM on my Microsoft Surface is probably not as high as I'd like it to be for someone who is streaming on a regular basis. But, if there are any issues with buffering or whatever, just let me know in the chat, and I'll see what I can do. But yeah, first poll is live. I think it's pretty close between looking at prices and looking at game rules. But I do think there's a lot around. There's a lot of discourse around DNFs and fastest lap and driver of the day, and I do think if we see changes to those, it it will be certainly a real positive step in the right direction for scoring this season. Do I expect every single one of those things to be changed? Probably not, but that's okay. I think, as I said before, of the changes I'm aware of for this season, I think it's a step in the right direction. We saw last year they got a lot right with the price change model. I think, if they're able to build on that heading into 2026, I think it's again going to be a very clear indication that F1 do take their F1 fantasy game very seriously. And I think there's been a lot more of that we've seen in the last year or so. Now that, not to toot my own horn, but like given I'm now writing for Formula1.com, it's clear to me that they want to have content that covers the game. There's a lot of, other content creators out there that are obviously very interested in producing content for F1 Fantasy. You look at the likes of Ewan and Rain, who are streaming right now. You look at, Adam, Tom, Zach, plenty of existing and certainly new content creators as well. So I think a really positive sign heading into this year in terms of the direction the game is going. But yeah, looks like game rules and scoring changes are kind of the popular vote right now. Let's go back to the chat, see if there was anything else said that's not absolutely savaging me for rooting for Tottenham. Thanks, Dean. Without knowing the prices of the rest of the drivers and teams, any locks for you at this time? Yeah, a great question, Anurag. I think for me, I got Bottas top right hand on the screen. I think for me, he's probably, I wouldn't say a lock, but he feels like at his price, he's going to be the cheapest driver in the game. I think for a lot of people with that grid penalty. And look, I say grid penalty, Cadillac are going to be one of the worst qualifiers on the grid, along with Aston Martin, I think. So, there's a very high likelihood that, the grid penalty means nothing at all. But I think at that price, he'll be a driver that enables those premium assets. I think Bortoletto as well at his price. I really liked what I saw from him last year at various parts of the season. Rain said in his video last night that he was pretty evenly matched. I would agree with Hulkenberg in 2025, and I think a 0.4 million, especially early doors. Those extra 0.2, 0.3 million dollar differences. Do make the difference between a good and a great 2X driver or premium constructor. I think Ferrari, I think their price will be competitive this year. So for me personally, that could be someone I very much entertain, but I do want some Mercedes coverage as well. And I think a Haas driver will probably feature in my team in some capacity as well. I'd obviously like Behrman, but I just know the way that the game is going, the way the pricing will be this year, it'll be tricky to have everyone we want. So, I might end up having to compromise on Ocon instead. All right, what else have we got? I am a Spurs fan. It is rough. Do they set prices based on performance and testing? Yeah, they're basing it largely on preseason testing, but there obviously will be, 2025 as well that has some role to play, perhaps not as much, because you look at Ferrari, for example, Mercedes, Alpine, Haas, obviously all strong outfits that delivered in preseason. Their prices, I think, will be relatively indicative of what the devs have valued them at based on, the last month or so. So yeah, just, I think that's it. But yeah, we'll mock up a team for sure. The thought process behind the Tash, Kev. I just thought I'd mix it up a little bit. I think it's not a permanent fixture, but I've grown my hair out for the last few months. I had a beard up until about a month ago, so yeah, it's maybe it's just me wanting to be a little different. Certainly not looking for attention, that's for sure. Let's do a poll on what laptop Rob should upgrade to. I probably do need a new laptop. It's the RAM. It's not the laptop. I love my Surface. I've had it for 3 or 4 years. It's just, I bought it originally with the intention of just using it for, emails, admin, just crap. And obviously when something like this, like streaming, kicks off, it obviously requires some upgrades. So, let's see. If a couple more people join as channel members, I might be able to upgrade sooner. Just kidding. Do you think that this year will be like last year, where we basically build budget up until the last 5 races of the year? Maybe. I think it'll be a very different strategy to this year. I think the way I expect prices will go in 2026 will be... It'll be, put it this way, it'll be very unlikely most people can get to a 3A team, like two premium constructors and a premium driver after 3 or 4 races. I think budget building will still play a part, but I'm curious to see if it takes on quite the same importance as it has in the previous couple of years. I'd say people, I think initially at least, people will still prioritize it. And then, once we see how the price changes shake out, because, there could well be changes to the pricing model, small tweaks, but changes nonetheless to the pricing model this season. So yeah, I think we'll see a bit of change in gameplay strategy for sure this year. Grid penalty for Bottas, 5 places from, as Anurag correctly pointed out, a 5-place grid penalty from his last race in the sport 2 years ago. 13 minutes, guys. Get excited. Again, hopefully the stream is holding up, because it's my YouTube studio is carking it, but it looks like it's managing. And if you guys are not obviously expressing any issues, then I'm going to take that as a positive sign. Rebecca, great to have you in the chat. As always. Howdy do. It would be good if the price structure made for more varied play, less meta. 100% agree. I think that was kind of the sentiment I got from the way the pricing was done last year, that the devs have that in mind. They don't want a situation like we saw in 2023 where everyone has the same team for the first 10, 12 races of the year. I don't think that will happen this year. I'm not overly concerned that the game's at a point where it would kind of go back to its old ways. I think the right people they've got the right people doing the price calculations to start the season off, and I'm very confident they're going to get them right again this time as well. All right, I'm going to do a quick refresh of the page, not to expect to see any changes, but no, didn't think so. Always a little optimistic. Interesting that prices, game rules, and scoring changes are pretty even. Like, I fully expect, because of how many engaged people in the chat there are, that I will probably find out prices from you guys before we get to covering them on the stream. I can guarantee you, and I'm not complaining about this at all. Like, if you guys quickly jump over to the assets while I'm looking at the DNF penalty, and someone goes, George Russell is 27.5 million. Obviously, I'm going to find that out, and that's okay. So if you guys want to be proactive with that, that's fine. We won't really... I'd like to do it kind of one by one. So maybe we'll spend 10 minutes reading over the game rules. I have to create a league at some point as well. And then from there, we'll take a look at prices. We'll go through them one by one. We'll build a team or two. But I'm sure Rain and Ewan are doing exactly the same thing. So if at any point, and not to obviously push you away from the channel, because I love every single one of you watching here, but yeah, if you feel like those guys are doing a good job of covering something that we're not, then feel free to jump in between, because they're both amazing content creators. Oh my god, you've never looked better. I love the moustache. Thank you. Appreciate it, Study Master. Stroll 0.5 million. Now, what I can perhaps tell you is that Aston Martin won't be as cheap, or at least I don't think they'll be as cheap as what many of you might expect. Now, I'm not suggesting they're going to be, tons and tons of dollars. But I don't think you should brace yourself to see them at 5 million, 6 million. I think Bottas will be the lowest priced asset in the game. I think we will, because of how kind of gentle they've priced these back markers, I fully expect the constructor prices will be boosted up pretty significantly. If you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen me talk about that a little bit. I just think the way the PPM, points per million basis, defines price changes in this game and value for money assets, I think constructors really do have to be pushed up. And I think we will see a world in which, there's potentially 2 constructors above the $30 million mark. I think Mercedes and Ferrari are the most likely candidates for that. But I think as a result of that, or I think that's the product of drivers becoming probably more affordably priced this season. Or at least that's the gist I'm getting from the 6 releases we got yesterday. But yeah, interesting. I'm interested to see what these prices will be like. Would Stroll be a good pick at 0.5 million? Stroll would be a good pick at anything below 0. So you'd have to get paid money to own Stroll to make him viable. I think all Aston Martin assets, and I hope the devs have. I think the devs will probably get this right. I back them too, but I would expect Aston Martin, even though they performed like a $5-6 million asset in testing, will probably be priced closer to 10. And I say that because even though they certainly didn't act like they were worth that kind of money in testing, there's every expectation that this is one of the teams that is the most likely to have some kind of mid-season resurgence. Now, I don't see it happening immediately. It may not even happen at all. But with the facilities, the infrastructure, the personnel in place, there's every likelihood we see some kind of turnaround from them. Sure, if they drop 6 million and they plummet from 10-12 million down to 6-7 million, then that's fair. I think that's valid. But I think the worst thing that could happen would be to have Aston Martin at 5 or 6 million, and then out of the blue they turn it around after 2 or 3 races and suddenly they're a top 4 team. Does that happen? Probably not. But I do think they're going to be priced over and above what we probably think they should be valued at. So yes, I'd be surprised. No one will go near them, put it that way. I don't think anyone will touch them to begin the season, but I do suspect the price will be factoring in the likelihood of, or the price I expect they'll be priced at will be factoring in a likely turnaround in performance later in the season. Regardless, I don't think you should be going near them. And Big Brother is always watching. Aston Martin is a no-go surely with the preseason. Yeah, I completely agree. I just don't think they're an option, at least for the first few races of the year. Hey Rob, liking the Bottas look. Hope you're going well. Do you like it even more now? If you joined at the start of the stream, you saw this. Oh dear, there goes the camera. If you saw this at the start of the stream, I was rocking the glasses until pretty much everyone in the chat shut me down. So no, they're not staying on, but that's Valtteri Bottas to a T. The moustache and the glasses. Looking forward to see the rookie Alonso. Heard he's very talented. Absolutely. Hello, Rob. M. Good to have you back. Good to have you back. The coffee made last night for a 5:48 alarm. I set my alarm for 5:15 this morning, and what time did I wake up at? 2:55. I got about 4 hours of sleep. But the vibes are high. Also, quite a turnaround. Prices and game rule scoring changes are pretty equal. Now, I kind of want to look at prices first. But it's pretty even split in the poll. So, yeah. I might, yeah. I don't know. Pretty even split in the poll. Good morning, Michael. Can't stay long, that's all right. Hitting the slopes with all the snow we were gifted on the USA East Coast. Where are you skiing, Michael? If you're on the East Coast, because it's almost 6 here, I'm guessing like Vermont, Virginia. Because you're south of me, aren't you? If I'm not mistaken, not to dox you, I'm not going to tell people where I think you're from, but yeah, massive dump of snow overnight or last couple of days in New York here. Give this an instant like, guys. He woke up before 3 a.m. Fantastic info. Michael Fireman, one of the OGs, late to the party, just made it through security. Hope you got through, Michael. Safe travels, my friend. Safe travels indeed. Okay. Yes, I'm going to look at prices. Thanks for the encouragement, Rebecca. I think I'll look at prices. Let's do another refresh of the screen. I'm not expecting anything to change. You know, what's the bet? What's the bet? We're all up early or queuing up for obviously this stream. I'm not suggesting this is going to happen, but like we keep refreshing it, 11 a.m. GMT, 6 a.m. where I am, and nothing happens. Nothing happens at all. Yeah, Pennsylvania. That's what I thought. Yeah, awesome. Very good. I didn't know Penn got a lot of snow, but hopefully the conditions are good out there today. 83 of you in the chat. Not bad for a preseason stream. Now, I need to see something else. I want to... I'm just looking at something in the... Looks like it's all good. Yep. 94 concurrent viewers now. Love that. Massive. But yeah, be sure to throw the stream some love. 25 likes so far, so not too bad. Not too bad at all. 3 minutes until we go live, ladies and gents. And yeah, you're right. Probably with FPL, the site probably has to be download or like go down to go back up. I thought it would have happened by now. That's the thing. Yeah, we've got a couple of FPL players in the chat. A couple of streams last year, I was sharing my FPL teams. Will I be doing that today? No, but yeah, I'm not sure if there are many other FPL players in the chat. Oh, that was an auto refresh. I didn't do that. Oh, that was. Oh, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we could be. I'm not even signed in. Well, that's problematic. Oh no, what's going on here? Oh wait, has it gone live? I need to log in first. It's saying Australia is the first race of the season, so it's gone live, has it not? I think I'm logged in. Yeah, I am. Oh, no one look at my personal details. Ah! Oh no. Hang on. I think we're live. God, this is so chaotic. It's live. It is live. All right. Let's do it. Now, hang on. Let me just... Leclerc is a steal. All right. Why can't I log into my team? Anyway. Wow. Okay. We got a couple of price reveals already. I can't, for whatever reason. Let's see. I can't seem to log in. It's not letting me. So that doesn't matter. Pick your team. Oh, I tell you why. I can't. Of course. Let's just do an autofill. Okay. Let's go through prices because of course you need to do it. You need to fill a team before you can. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. All right, let's go pick our team. We are up and running. Let's start from the top. Drivers are cheap. Wow. Okay. Max at the highest, 27.7. George Russell, 27.4. I kind of expected these three to be the most expensive. The screen's refreshing. I think all three of these guys are fairly priced. Very happy with kind of what we're seeing so far. Oscar and Kimi Interesting. Okay, I really like this price. I think both Kimi and Charles are going to be viable. Lewis seems a little high for my liking. I don't know. I'm not clicking refresh. So I'm not sure what's going on here. But yeah, wow. Big fan of these prices. Really big fan of these prices. I think these guys had to be clustered together, and I'm really liking that. Yeah. Okay, drivers look cheap. We'll look at the other ones. Okay. Okay. Ferrari seems really cheap. Ferrari seems problematically cheap. Yeah, site is auto refreshing. I don't know what's going on. Why don't I see if I just autofill a team? I'll just autofill a team and lock it in and see if it's... Yeah, let's just see. Let's just put that. Let's see if that stops the auto refreshing. Okay. Let's just save that. Does that stop the... This is not what I want to be doing. You guys don't want to see me do this. I just want to pick my team. All right. God, panic. I worry just looking at that. I worry looking at that Ferrari are way too cheap. Like, concerningly cheap. I felt good. Just let's go to my team. I'm not interested in the faff. All right. Back to... All right, so let's start at the top. So far, initial reactions are prices look okay until we get to Ferrari, and just Ferrari just feel way too cheap for me. Like, you obviously can't get a second premium constructor, so that's good, but like, what? Haas. This is not... I'm a bit worried. I'm a bit worried. What is going on with the screen here? Okay, so I just think initial reactions are... Some of these drivers are a bit too cheap. I worry we're all going to have the same team. I really do. So, like, this... Let's just theoretically chuck in... Where's Ocon? Haas are way too cheap. Like... I don't... This was too easy to build. Obviously, you can't have two premium constructors, but that was too easy to build. Or you substitute Antonelli for a McLaren driver. But the fact I've like got to this lineup already and I have put no thought into it. I mean, I've probably completed F1 Fantasy for 2026. What can I say? But I am... Yeah, I do worry that's probably way too cheap. I was really trying to be optimistic that there was going to be more to this, but like this is, I don't know. Anyway, back to the chat, then we'll take a look at the game rules. What do we got here? Zach, yeah, you're right. Welcome, Zach. It's way too cheap. No, this is 2023 all over again. This is my initial reaction. I was really hoping Ferrari was going to be more. I was really hoping they'd be more. Excuse me. Haas, yeah. Haas, this was and with 2.7 left over. This is problematic. This is problematic. Look, things might change. I want to be optimistic. Things might change in the next, couple weeks. Free practice, upgrades, but the fact I could do this within about 30 seconds, I wasn't even like remotely contemplating other assets just based on testing. Like that was, yeah. Anyway, what do you guys think? Yeah, you could even put Russell in there. Anyway, so we've got, I think the general consensus is assets are way too cheap. Let's take a look at the game rules. Okay, if the driver, let's start at the top. What's new in 2026? If your driver competes in the sprint but is replaced before qualifying, you'll get a transfer suggestion to avoid the not classified. It counts as a -10. I think that was the same as last year, if I'm not mistaken. Every team will now get points for pit stops. The number of points will be based on the fastest pit stop. I think that was the same as last year as well. Penalty points for being disqualified will now be applied to the constructor instead of the drivers. Disqualified drivers will not gain any points for the session they were disqualified from. Okay, I think that's a positive change. Points will be awarded based on driver constructor performance at the Grand Prix. Pole position, this doesn't look like it's changed at all. Constructors, I don't think that's changed either. Sprints, oh no, they've kept fastest lap. Please no driver of the day. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. They've kept fastest lap and they've kept driver of the day. Race results are exactly the same. DNFs are still -20. That's not good. Is anyone watching Ewan and Rain's stream right now? Do they have the same reaction as me? Sorry, I feel, no, it's all right. It's okay. It's just, I was really hoping there'd be more. I haven't looked at, I've only looked at game rules. What's new? Okay, so that hasn't changed. Look and feel. Inactive drivers. Oh no. I think this could be a season. No, I'm not going to say it. What's new? Okay. Oh, did I just miss this? Okay. Okay. All right. So they have adjusted DNF DSQs not classified in the sprint for -10. That's positive. Yeah, that was strange. So I went to watch. Okay. We'll only look at the total amount your team changes between Grand Prix when calculating, not each transfer separately. So I'm jumping all over the place here, but new season, new look. It's much easier to find and manage leagues. For this season, we'll only look at the total amount your team changes between Grand Prix when calculating your transfer allowance, not each transfer separately. Okay. That's not entirely clear to me what that means. Total amount your team changes. What do you mean by that? Like transfers? The minimum price drivers can reach has been reduced to 3 million. Okay. Oh, I thought it was going to be higher. It's going to be lower. I think that's bad. Oh, well, look at it this way, right? No, I don't think it's bad necessarily. It probably accounts for more retirements because it's a new regulation season, and so values will, I would think, go down more often for these certainly these backmarket teams. I I was hoping it would actually be moved up, personally speaking. Not classified in the sprint has been reduced to -10 points. So I think that's good. I think those are positive changes. Okay. Back to the chat. What else have we got in here? Lexi, great to have you in here. Thank you. I will have a wonderful stream. Triple Ferrari feels like the meta. Lads, I've got the best team names. I've taken the names Ferrari, McLaren, and Mercedes. Yeah, Ferrari insanely cheap. Haas is a $7.4 million bargain. You can already do 3A lineup with Ferrari and Mercedes. Template going to be crazy. 3X, Haas, Colapinto, Piastri, LaFerrari, Leclerc, 0.1 million left over. I have 2 premium constructors and Antonelli right now. They have absolutely cooked it. Absolutely, I think. Are there changes on the prices? I don't think the changes to prices have changed at all. I think it'll be exactly the same. Fastest lap driver of the day, terrible. I completely agree. Transfer change means if you did... Oh, thanks, Jack. Okay. Thanks, Jack. That makes sense. Okay, thank you for clarifying. So what Jack's saying in the stream is if you went between Antonelli and Leclerc 50 times, it wouldn't be like a minus 500 point hit. It would just be the same. Like, let's say you make a mistake and you want Antonelli back in your team after moving out Leclerc. Yeah. All right. So if I took that out, like this lineup should not be possible. Well, let's throw like Kimi in here, right? Throw Charles in here even. 4 million. Let's take out Ocon. So I'm jumping around. Okay, so that wasn't entirely clear. I think what I said, but so you could do that. That's not bad. So what I think Jack's saying is between rounds. So as in you wouldn't take a points hit. Yeah, between rounds. Got it. Yeah. So like let's say for example, I think if I'm understanding Jack's question correctly, let's say on Monday you transfer out Leclerc for Antonelli, right? And then on Tuesday you're like, no, I want Antonelli out of my team and I want to get Leclerc back. And then you get to free practice and then you decide to reverse that transfer once more. My interpretation of that is that it would not be a -10 or a -20 point hit. That swap between just those two drivers will not cost you anything at all. That's interesting. Okay, so the fact we can get to like a Leclerc and a 3A with the 4 cheapest assets. I mean, do I run this in the first race of the season? Probably not. But the fact you can get to it, I don't think... Yeah, regardless, I don't think it should have been possible. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I just think I was really hoping constructors would be priced more. Just because of how cheap some of these assets are. I worry that we will not see a lot of diversity early on in the season. I need a haircut and a shave. I'm not doing either of those things right now. Ewan's not liking much of the changes as well. I can't believe they kept fastest lap and driver of the day. I genuinely wonder if the developers follow any of these content creators, myself included. Because it's something we've been outspoken for what, 3 years now. Oh dear. Yeah, got it. Okay, so Jack's saying essentially you can tinker with your team as much as you want between rounds. Transfers and hits only count at team lock. Okay. Interesting. I'm going to test that out with my team 2 or team 3 in the first race of the season. How many transfers I can make without any penalties. I think like the sprint DNF -10, fine, but I'm so shocked that they've kept the. I'm so shocked that they've kept the fastest lap. It's not even part of the scoring for the championship. Anything else we want to look at? Let's just go through the prices because I did rush around. I think let's do an initial reaction to all of them. And we'll go through them one by one. Also, guys, if you're new watching, there's 150 of you watching. Please do drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. 32 likes would be good to get to 50 at some point. So yeah, throw the channel some love. A few new subscribers this stream as well. But yeah, have I completed F1 Fantasy for 2026 based on what you see on screen? Okay. Interesting. All right, so I guess you're missing out on Haas assets if you go like this heavy. And the chips, I'm assuming, have stayed exactly the same. Yeah. 3x boost, I guess. Yeah. Should say 3x, not x3, but anywho. Go to the FAQ page? Yeah, of course I can go to the FAQ page. Do you think prices mean we won't need to focus on budget as much this year? Potentially. Potentially, yeah. Look at the total amount your team changes, not each transfer separately. Interesting. If they, yeah. I think, like Jack, I think explained it very well in the chat, but you know, for someone who's not watching me and is looking at this for the first time, I find that pretty poorly worded. If they gave an example, it probably would have been a bit more transparent. Michael, enjoy the snow. I think price increases are going to stay the same. I'm obviously not in the F1 Fantasy Tools Discord, but I'm sure someone else smarter than I has figured out if any of that has changed. Will I see my score? It will update through the weekend. Yeah, that's the same as last year. Just not as many changes as I expected this season, that's all. Can get to triple Ferrari, Sainz and Haas. Prices are way off. Yeah, they are. They're so off. They're so off. I shouldn't be able to afford this lineup for the first race of the season, even with the 4 cheapest drivers. I suppose, you know, I see an argument in the sense that like if you do go for something like this, you are running the risk of losing value early on, and it would be very hard to get out of a team like this without at least -10, -20. But I was just hoping there wouldn't be a way where we have 3 A-tier assets from the off. Yeah, and you could do, you know, again, like I had a similar lineup on screen before, but like Haas is so underpriced. Haas shouldn't be this cheap. Like, why are Alpine so high up? Of course, the Mercedes power unit plays a part for sure, but like this shouldn't be possible. Like they're meant to take in preseason testing, but it kind of feels like they've missed a beat a little bit. Like you could do something like this, right? It seems way too overpowered, personally. I mean, you could put Piastri in there instead of Antonelli, and 6.3 would give you enough to put in Lindblad, for example, or Colapinto. I think they've kind of missed the mark on prices this year, personally. I think they've got a lot of the. I think they've got Mercedes right. I think they've got Verstappen right. I think they've got, you know, Cadillac right. Audi, I'd say right. Racing Bulls potentially, but they've absolutely missed the boat on Haas. They've severely underpriced Ferrari. Yeah. And those are the assets that everyone, if you watch my videos, if you watch Ewan, if you watch Rain, like you will see how highly we valued, Ferrari and Haas assets, and they just shouldn't be this cheap. Jeremy, enjoy your night, my friend. Thanks for coming through. Can't they adjust prices till next week? No, they won't be able to now, because people have locked teams in. The only way they'd have to like completely reset the game, I think, remove all of the transfers. I mean, I suppose they could do that because a deadline hasn't passed yet. I'd honestly think they should, to be honest. Because I just see so many teams looking like either this or the Mercedes one I had up on screen before. And yeah, great point, Arwen. Great point. Like, I think there was obviously like a lot of discourse around Haas and Ferrari with that power unit, how quick off the line they looked, overtakes. Excuse me. Like these two, like Haas, we know if you look at the statistics from 2026, like this team for the last 2025, for the last 2 or 3 seasons, Haas have been the best team for overtakes. Like, why are you pricing a team so cheaply that has been the best for overtakes, for positions gained, points per million for the last 2 years? Sorry, I know I sound a bit negative, but I was really hoping after what we saw from the price releases yesterday that they were on the right track. Anyway, I just don't see it likely that they'll reset the game between now and Australia. So, just to make a point on how much they've cooked the prices, you can get Leclerc, Hadjar, 12 million Gasly, Signs, but like you can get this lineup as well and have 8 million left over. Oh, I guess you could take out Ocon and put in Hadjar, right? Like that also seems crazy to me that you can have a team like this. This is 2023 all over again. Anuraz says, don't think they'll tweak the prices. Yeah, I agree. They won't. Leclerc DNF in the first race and the game will open up all over again. I hope not. Well, I mean, maybe that would be good. Benefit of Haas is they will likely be 2.4 million expensive before round 5. But yes, like if we all own them from race week 1, we will have that value gain. So it kind of defeats that purpose. You can run Charles, George, Bortoletto, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Ferrari, and Haas. Yeah. So I think like there's the most. I think Haas Ferrari seems like the most obvious lineup. Okay, so at least to me for the first few races, and I think there's every world in which we have a team lineup that looks something like this for the first race of the season, just because of how cheap they are. And then let's say we build up like 10, 12 million of value after the first couple of races. Obviously, you'd need to like progressively downgrade drivers, but like after, 3 or 4 races, I reckon a lot of teams would probably be able to get to something like this. Like, yeah. I mean, in a way, like, the more I think about it, the only way you can get 2 premium constructors is by going the 4 cheapest assets in the game. I will probably run a team 2 or a team 3 with that lineup. I don't see myself starting with Mercedes, at least initially, and Ferrari. I just think there's too much value in Ferrari and Haas right now based on their prices. And yeah, to Arlen's point, like having flexibility with your driver lineup means you can pivot into so many more options. Like something like I see a world in which I start like, what about like Russell, right? Well, you can't get Behrman, so like theoretically covered through. If we cover him through the Haas constructor, throw in Colapinto, that leaves 7 million. Like I like this as well, because like theoretically, like no one's starting with. I think unless sorry, I'm fighting a bit of a cough right now. Unless of course we see in free practice, Cadillac look really good, which is so unlikely to happen. I think something like this is very possible, where you start with Russell, Leclerc and have, I think Bortoleto at 6.4 is value for money. You get Valtteri Bottas' grid penalty as well. Colapinto, Mercedes power unit. He looked very quick. He was quite close to Gasly in preseason testing as well. And you've got two very strong drivers who are, from what we saw in testing, like the likely favourites to win the first race of the season. Okay, well, my team just reset there. So, I genuinely do think that lineup I just had, yeah, Bottas is serving a 5-place grid penalty in Australia because in his last race, I think his last race in 2024, he was hit with a penalty of sorts. So if we throw, this is my initial reactions. I think a lot will change before lights out. But, I genuinely see a world in which I start with a lineup like this. And also keep in mind, you have, with 2 premium drivers, you also have the possibility of using the autopilot sooner. You have 2 sprint races in China and Miami, right? And I think Ferrari looked quick, but I think Russell is probably over the longer term my pick of the bunch. I think 27 is a fair price. I mean, you could also do something like this if you want to hedge your bets, and someone just made that comment as well. That might be a nice way to kind of cover all bases, right? I love the fact that Antonelli and Leclerc are priced so similarly. But like you're covering Mercedes, who are what appears to be the best, the favorite for the championship, right? You're covering off Ferrari, who last year were very good for pit stops and have overtakes in their bag. Yeah. Look, the more I'm thinking about it, I think, yes, I think there are options. I'm trying to look at this optimistically. There are options. Someone picked, yeah, like look at this. And yeah, sorry, I'm jumping around, but I think there are options for sure. There are options. I think the biggest problem is that Ferrari and Haas are just too cheap, and it makes getting to these like premium driver lineups with Antonelli and Russell or Leclerc and Russell too easy. And like, look at this, Ferrari. Yep. Okay. Damn, we were so close to a seamless stream. We were so close to a seamless stream. I think the audio is fine now. If it's not one thing, it's something else. Damn. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks. Thanks for being patient, guys. Okay. What else we got in the chat? Sorry, I've been rambling a little bit, but that's just like my initial reaction. I think I'm coming back a little bit, but I still think there's a very obvious template, and Ferrari is the kind of the driving force behind that. 3 Haas, 3 Ferrari. Likely, yes. Oh, thank you for the comment on the jacket. It is, yes. Ferrari. Maybe it's thematic. I am the biggest technical gremlin in all of streaming right now. I think there are options. Yeah. So what do you think of this team? Dean's asking. Leclerc, Hadjar, Behrman, Ocon, Bottas, Ferrari, and Haas. Not bad. Not bad. For what it's worth, if Piastri is quick in all practice sessions, he will be on Leclerc, Piastri. We will all be on Piastri, Leclerc, Ocon, Behrman, Bottas, Colapinto, Ferrari, Haas. I just think there's every world in which people start with Ferrari and Haas, and you can tell that just based on ownership percentages. You'll see Audi drop like a stone. You'll see Williams drop like a stone. Plenty of driver options, but the constructors seem like a no-brainer. Yeah, that's right. Can't hear you, mate. The MS Surface strikes again. I know. Ewan! How are you, mate? How was your stream? What time did I start? I started at 5:30, right? I'll probably go for like another half an hour. But yeah, this team on screen here feels like where my head's at initially, at least. I think, yeah. I think we've talked about it a little bit already. I think Ferrari and Haas are just way too cheap. I think everyone will have that constructor pairing from the get-go. I do like the flexibility that Antonelli offers as well, because you can move to Charles very quickly. And so 33% as well. See, I don't see a world where triple Haas makes sense, does it? Or would that mean, hang on, where does triple Haas get us? Like, if we plug these guys in, that means Hamilton, right? Yeah, you're right. I guess, yeah, you could do that too, can't you? Yeah, I mean, like, that's like, honestly, that's very viable too. And you've got 2.7 left over. It's kind of wild to me, honestly. Yeah, I mean, you could even get to Piastri. So yeah, I think like something like this, the lineup I had before, with like Russell in there potentially. Keep in mind though, given that George Russell is not someone who typically wins driver of the day, you might feel inclined to go like a Leclerc Antonelli route, because if either of them finish on the podium, I think they're a lock for driver of the day. But yeah, Ferrari, yeah, I agree. If you rewind the stream to like 20-30 minutes ago, I genuinely, I was appalled by how cheap Ferrari and Haas were. I think they're way too low. I think they're both about 4 to 5 million too low. Sure, we've got a lot of Ferrari PU assets in one basket, as you pointed out, Ewan, but yeah, I don't think that's going to be enough to really dissuade me at this point in time. Yeah, I mean, good point about Piastri, right? It's his home race. Could do that too. And like, I think at Piastri's price, right? You have him for Australia and you downgrade him to Antonelli because I think, Mercedes will probably be more competitive longer term. Robin has technical issues. He's so back. I've got more technical issues than Aston Martin right now. We haven't even started the season. I really also need to change the ticker and say generally got the prices right, which I think all things considered, with the exception of Haas and Ferrari, I think they have got the prices pretty spot on. I'm quite pleased with them. So yeah, I think like where are we right now in terms of ownership? Like Bottas is, oh no, not Bottas. Behrman, he was the highest asset to start last season, and he's the highest asset to start this season. Like, read the tea leaves. He needs to go up in value. He's much, much better than Esteban Ocon. I know, Rebecca, we really were hoping to lose the meta, but I feel like there's already one very much locked in. Rob needs to wear the glasses to keep the gremlins at bay. Should I bring him back? Triple Haas is good for budget for sure. I think as well, building that budget early on will certainly mean, we can target. My thing just keeps resetting. I don't know what's going on. We can target, a 4A by the midpoint of the season. So, oh my god, my screen is refreshing. Maybe that's a sign the computer's about to crash again. I don't know. Stick Hadjar in instead of Antonelli and commit to budget. I don't think I'm backing Isaac Hadjar though at this point of the season though. I want to see more from him because I think, look, they've got these three right. They've got these three on the nose. If anything, I think swap Red Bull and Ferrari price tags, then I think like they're much, much closer to parity. But good to see, like, how far away are we from this lineup, right? Like, that's Perez. So to get two premium drivers and like Mercedes with Ferrari, we would need to get Hadjar in that second slot, like 9 million. So like, let's say you grow your budget on average like 1.5 million a race, right? 9 million to take you 6 races. So theoretically speaking, you could have this kind of lineup with Hadjar by the 6th, 7th, 8th race of the year. Which I don't think is bad at all. Yeah. Yeah, I think, look, honestly, I think the devs have got 9 out of 11 teams pretty well done with prices, but the two that they've got wrong, they've gotten really, really wrong. And I think we're going to see a lot of high ownerships for the Haas and the Ferrari assets early doors. Maybe Leclerc and Piastri for Piastri driver of the day. Driver of the day is such a curse, I agree, but I do think I do think Piastri is the front runner for it. I'm just so annoyed that DNF penalties are still minus 20. Oh, my thing keeps refreshing. I don't know what's going on. Let's make a league. I haven't made one yet, and I'm sure there's 100 other ones out there. Create a league. Formula Fantasy Hub official league. Ah. All right, that's the league code. I'll put that in the comments later, but feel free to go and join it if you want. What are the other leagues out here? Let's view them all. Adam and Terry back for another year. Roto Baller. P1. Nice. What else have we got? Just F1 Nation. Got it. Guys, make sure to join my league. At some point, right? Historic moment for our league creation. Hee hee. All right. I mean, the UI for the leagues is good. I do like it more so than last year. I need to like zoom out a bit. It looks a bit clunky, doesn't it? There we go. Cool. What else have we got to go through? I feel like that's kind of it, right? I'll probably hang around for another 15 minutes. Yeah. Chips are the same. Not as much has changed though, all things considered, than I thought. I wonder if, again, the trailing average, they take into account at all for price changes this year, because if it's again like equally affected for the last 3 races evenly, that is problematic. I don't know. I just think, yeah. I just think it's going to be very much the same as last season. All right, what else is in the chat? I will put in another poll. Are you most okay. Sorry, not to be a negative Nancy. I'm just curious to see what probably means the most to players in terms of what they were most, say, underwhelmed with. Just for my own curiosity. Oh, McLaren, great to have you back. Ferrari is way too cheap. I'm scared of having to rely on Ferrari. Me too. I'm scared a little bit, but I also think like we didn't see too many reliability concerns in preseason, so I think for right now I'm okay with. The big question is who's priced worse, Ferrari or Alonso? I mean, yeah, Aston Martin are irrelevant for sure. But give them a few races, they'll come down in value. I would say you'd need to swap the Williams assets with Haas asset price-wise. And that's a fair price. Williams and Aston Martin are way too high for sure. No one will go near them. Let's go. First stream of the season. You're not wrong, Isaac. You're not wrong. I would love to know what data they use for setting the prices, because they seem to come from a whim. Surely this isn't even close to what like betting odds are for this year. Correct. I just don't. Yeah, Ferrari. Yeah, I'm not sure what they base Ferrari on, because it certainly wasn't testing. Wait, these could be work in progress because the constructor images aren't even updated. No, I think they'll just update the images when they get to it, to be honest. I don't think that makes a difference for They wouldn't release the game as a work in progress to hundreds of thousands, millions of people. I thought you said let's take a leak. Maybe I will, Boyd. Maybe I will. Can't join without a team. I can't see myself picking a team before practice. Fair. Yeah, fair. Fair enough. Why is Aston Martin valued so high? I think because of the fact that maybe the developers are optimistic. Adrian Newey rides the ship. Does that happen anytime soon? Unlikely, but yeah, we'll see. Arbujin, a friend of mine I met out at the Australian GP last year. Surely Ferrari Mercedes Leclerc over Ferrari Leclerc Haas. I thought about it, but I thought about it, but you know, with that Mercedes constructor, you're left with the 4 cheapest assets in the game, so it does create some problems, I think, with flexibility. It's a huge risk. I mean, you could get to this lineup, you know, 2 swaps pretty easy from, you know, what was there before Haas, right? And you know, like up to George Russell if you wanted it. Like that's a 2-move swap, so it's not too bad. But yeah, I think that inflexibility of having the 4 cheapest drivers, yeah, it doesn't really mean you're able to pivot out of much unless you pull the trigger on the wild card. People asking about the league code. If you just go to, I don't know it off the top of my head. If you rewind 10 minutes, you could see it there on screen. But otherwise, if you go to public leagues, go to then public, and then you can, if you can't see it here, it should be, I mean, lots of, you won't be able to find it now because hundreds of people are searching it. I would just search Formula Fantasy Hub, and you can already see I'm in there with 7 other people. Yeah, cool. I thought I saw a familiar face in the chat just now. Was it who I thought it was? I saw Tom. Shout out to Tom, Poppan Man F1. Hey Rob, glad I can catch some of your stream. Initial reaction is the lack of rule changes is disappointing, but thank God the sprint DNFs are reduced. Prices are pretty weird, some good, some very bad. I think Ferrari and Haas are the bad ones in my opinion. I think everything else is not too bad. I think everything else is at a pretty reasonable price. Aston Martin obviously questionable as well. But I don't think anyone was going near them after testing anyway. Ewan doesn't mind driver of the day and fastest lap being in the game, but just change the 10 to a 5 and call it a day. I agree. It needs to come down. Like, why is fastest lap in F1 Fantasy, but it's not in the championship scoring? And also, why minus 20 and not minus 22? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, surely there can't be a reason for, like, just scoring mechanics that stop them from changing that number, right? Interesting. Two Lawsons in my team now on the mobile app. Is that true? You can't be serious, can you? Initial 2020. So I'm just reading a couple of things. So Porsche F1 says, initial 2026 F1 fantasy thoughts. Not happy. Prices for Haas and Ferrari are way too low. Don't understand how you cap the DNF at minus 10 for sprints, but not positions lost. Don't understand why DNF is minus 20, not minus 22 for the same reason. Dislike driver of the day, fastest lap still being worth 10 points. Yeah. Who else is saying other things? Ewan, Zach. Okay. So I'm going to reshare that. Zach's not happy. He's going to say triple Haas, double Ferrari, Antonelli, Bottas. Yep. Haas are too cheap. Ferrari too cheap. Yeah. Adams just commented on all teams eligible for prizes in the global league. Sprint DNFs are -10. Transfers are based on the number of assets that change from the previous race. Okay. Still 140 of you here, so not too bad. Not too bad at all. 51 likes on the stream. Not too bad at all. What's in the chat, ladies and gentlemen? I'll probably give myself 5-10 more minutes and then call it a day. Yeah, strange. So, Imana, I think if I've said that right. Iman, I think I said that right. They've released the game with assets from last year like Yuki and Kicksauber. Jeez. 2 constructors isn't for the first race for me. If drivers DNF, you want to sell them and you can't go anywhere without selling constructors. Agreed. I think that just limits the flexibility with having, a Ferrari Mercedes to start the season. Swap Aston and Haas prices, far more interesting. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. It's just strange. Just like some of these changes are perplexing. The live chat didn't update again on my side. Yeah. Let's do league codes. I'll put my league code on screen here. You guys can join it as you see fit. How do you share it? There you go. There's the league code. I'm looking forward to a new season. Like, all things considered, I think there's a lot of things to be excited about. I just think the most glaring issues the community have had with this game for the last couple of seasons still haven't changed. So I just worry that the developers don't listen to content creators and members of the community. I'm not suggesting we know all the right answers. I'm not saying we have a right to decide what is good and what is not for the game, but I think, you listen, you read what people say on Twitter, on Discord. I think the sentiment is pretty overwhelmingly similar, regardless of who you speak to. So yeah, I'd love to chat with one of them one day, but can't unfortunately seem to get in touch with any of them. But yeah, looking forward to a new season, Arbujan. Can't go wrong there. Tom, great to have you in the chat, my friend. Great to have you in the chat. We've missed you, mate. We have missed you. Even on these rules, it still says 11th to 20th place. So how about 21st and 22nd place? Hang on. It's in the game rules. Good pickup. If DNFs aren't -20, what would you think an appropriate number is? -10? Yeah, -10. But like, if you're having a -10 for a DNF, then you need to cap the positions gained or lost at 10 as well. You can't kind of double dip one and not the other. And like Raheem, Porsche F1, called out a couple of things. Well, first of all, 11th to 20th, like, someone hasn't even changed the qualifying. It should be 22nd. So like, these guys, the developers, are not even reading the game rules and checking their stuff. And second of all, this was Raheem's point, why are you putting DNFs at -10, but then not capping positions gained or lost at -10? Like, these have to be relative. They can't be disproportionate or it skews scoring. So I just don't know if they're like, if who is setting the rules is putting thought into the scoring metrics and what that means for the game itself and gameplay. Anyway. Disqualifications, I think, a great change. I'm interested to see like the price floor, right? Now that it's 3 million and not, not 4.5. I definitely, as I said at the start, thought it was going to be higher than that. Fun swing with them. Yeah, so Nixie, great point. Great point. Like, you're better off in the sprint DNFing than you are losing a bunch of places. So, like, theoretically, like, let's say you're Kimi Antonelli, right? Like we saw last year in Miami, qualified on pole in the sprint, and then absolutely bungled his stop in the pit lane, fell, 15 positions, right? If you own Kimi Antonelli, you're better off having him retire from the sprint than you are having him lose all those positions. So it's flawed. Interesting. It's so like, look, okay, so I'm just thinking, I'm not sure if I've got this right. I'm just thinking out loud here. So we look at sprint races, right, as a opportunity, especially for certain midfield assets, to actually bridge the gap to front runners because of those overtakes and positions gained, right? So if, say, for instance, what am I trying to say here? I think what I'm trying to say is sprint races are, from what I'm reading, more favorable, more advantageous now to midfield and back marker teams, right? Because let's say you've got a Lawson, right? Qualifies 18th for the sprint. He has, 18 positions he could theoretically gain. He's qualifying so low that if he loses positions, he can only go down like 4 spots, right? And if he retires, he only loses 10 points. But if you're a driver who's qualifying on the front couple of rows of the sprint, you have so much more to lose because you, first of all, I mean, sure, you could DNF as well, right? But if you lose all these positions, you could theoretically lose 20 points, worse than a DNF, and you don't have the upside to make more positions that people starting much further back do have. I'm not sure if that made sense, but I think the sprint weekends are now even more favorable for midfield. The risk is much higher. Sorry, the risk is much lower for back markers. And so maybe using a chip like the Limitless is perhaps even better to use and more low risk to use at like a Monaco or a Saudi Arabia and a Japan. And I still think that's what I'm going to be doing this season. But yeah, I'm not sure if like what I'm actually saying is making sense, but that's kind of my initial thoughts. They've changed the prizes rule. Yeah, they have. So the top 3 teams, regardless of whether it's your team 1, 2, or 3, are all eligible for prizes, as opposed to what was only team 1. So the guy who won the Global League last year had his team 2 win it. And so obviously they've changed that so people actually do get rewarded for finishing on top. I think they wanted to make sprint weekend less risky, for sure. Yeah, they certainly did. But there's more. I think it benefit. I mean, sure, like maybe people starting at the front are not really affected anymore. But I think the guys starting further back have more to gain, even more to gain, because the DNF risk is even less. All the devs would need to do is organize a creators roundtable, and they'd fix so much. I know, Rebecca. If they watched Rain's collaborative video last season, they would have seen everything that me, Adam, Rain, Zach, Ewan had to say. In what world is Gasly a higher price than Albon and Sainz? I think in this world. I think Gasly was much better than Sainz and Albon based on preseason testing. As DNFs can be so random, the loss in positions would be much better reflection of the driver's skill racecraft. Somewhat, but you also just can't avoid someone like Liam Lawson yeeting it down the inside and taking you out, right? You could be Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and Liam Lawson ruins your race with one bad misjudgment into turn one. What does this mean? Transfers from this season will only look at the total amount your team changes between Grand Prix when calculating your transfer allowance, not each transfer separately. Okay, so I think from what Jack said in the chat before, I think how I understood that was they're not looking at transfer hits and transfers at each transfer in isolation. I think what it means is if you make 6 transfers, it will only be the number of new assets in your team for that week. I've not done a very good job of articulating it. I essentially it's like the net new assets in your team for that race weekend, and like the number of changes. I'm assuming we get 2 transfers still a week, right? So I haven't looked at that. Transfers, I don't know. Let's go back to the game rules. What's new? From the season, we'll only look at the total amount your team changes between Grand Prix when calculating your allowance, not each transfer separately. Yeah, so I think that just means like how many changes did you make to your team? If you made 2 transfers, that counts your 2. It's not worded very well. But yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the example Dean made is like if you went from Russell, Piastri, Leclerc, and then back to Russell, that doesn't affect your transfer allotment for the week. So I'm going to have to put this in the game rules in my how to play guide going out later, because that's something that I think is going to be quite hard for people to understand. Leagues, nothing new really on the leagues front. I'm going to zoom out a bit because it's kind of cut off on the side. Oh. Okay, that's much better. The DNF penalty in the sprint has been reduced. The minimum drivers and teams can reach has been reduced to 3 million. What was 4.5 last year? Yeah. Yep. George says, doesn't the minus 20 make sense though? I feel like losing 20 positions is pretty horrendous for a driver, whereas a quick mistake or a mechanical failure isn't their fault. Of course it's not. I mean, sometimes losing positions is not the driver's fault. It could be another driver that causes that problem to them. And because there's so much uncertainty and unpredictability around retirements in this game, you can't obviously premeditate them. Of course, you can't premeditate like a red card or a yellow card in football, for instance, either. But minus 20 is more than what most, like, the average score per driver in F1 Fantasy in 2025, I think was like about 13 points per race. The fact that the DNF penalty is worth more than what the average driver would score week to week just goes to show it's already quite high. And so like if you had a minus 10 instead, it would probably be more attuned to what drivers on average would score. Yeah. Based on their lack of effort, I think budget gains and losses will stay the same. Yeah, I think so too, Nixie. I think so too. I just don't. Yeah. I just don't know what to make of who runs the show. What are you most disappointed in? The people have spoken. The highest vote count is the DNF still being -20. So obviously, like, quite a few people feel quite hard done by that. It's in the game. Ferrari and Haas, too expensive. And then the fastest lap and the driver of the day still in the game, 23%. So like there's quite clearly like not an overwhelming majority. I think everyone probably would love all of them to change, but yeah, it's fascinating that. Yeah, it's fascinating that is that. We're coming up to an hour and 3/4. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss before I wrap up on the stream? I think the meta lineup is pretty obvious to me right now. I'm just pivoting between tabs. Oh no. Let's just go to my team. I genuinely see a world in which we start the season with something like this. Or you drop George to Kimi or Oscar, for instance, and then you can upgrade a Bortoletto to a Behrman, a Colapinto to an Ocon. That's kind of... I feel like it's a pretty obvious template lineup early doors. I think, honestly, Aston Martin and Haas should have had their prices swapped. If you have Behrman at 10, Ocon at 8, I mean, sure, like most people would choose Ocon as a result. If you swapped Aston Martin with Haas, or Aston Martin even with Williams, like that would have been such an easy fix. Like no one's picking Williams, no one's picking Aston Martin. Anyway, this is kind of my initial read on the template. Thank you for coming through, Rebecca. Have a great day. I'll see you in the Discord chat. Do you think Max should be the highest priced driver? No, I think George should be. I think they... I don't think it really matters, though, because obviously you're backing Max to do well regardless of the car. I think George probably, after preseason, deserves to be higher than Lando. And I would have... Yeah. I think, like, generally they're all right. I'm not too disappointed with every other asset besides Ferrari and Haas. Early to tell, but would you go with two A-tier drivers or two A-tier constructors? The pit stops look tempting. They do. I had a Ferrari Mercedes lineup on screen earlier. The problem is you have 4 of the cheapest drivers in the game, and I think there's a lot of inflexibility with that. I'm probably leaning towards dodging that for the first race week of the season. Unless, of course, like... Yeah, you couldn't do that. No. So, yeah, like I can't get to that slot, obviously, unless I was to downgrade the Haas guys. I think the 2A drivers with Ferrari and Haas seems to be the best value approach right now. How's my FPL team looking? It's top 200 in the world, I think. 200K, not 200 overall. I think Haas heavy seems like the play right now as well. Solarfly, thank you. For clarifying that. Yeah, I think I understand. So it's essentially just net transfers per week. Kev, thank you for dropping through. Hoping I can have a longer run in the global top 10 this season. Well, you had a pretty good run last year, Kev, so I wouldn't be complaining too much. What content lineup are we in for till race weekend? Great question. So today I will record my how to play guide for 2026. That'll probably go out in the next 2 hours. After that, expect to see my first draft. So what are we today? Tuesday, right? I expect to have first drafts by maybe tomorrow, if not Thursday. I'll give you kind of 4 different lineups I've looked at. This weekend, depending on availability, I might do a Q&A stream. If not, I will probably do, at the very least, another video around best value assets. But I think you guys already know that there'll be Ferrari and Haas, so maybe I'll do something different. And then that leads us into next week, which will be team selection on Monday. My F1.com article will be out, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. Final thoughts will be Thursday. And then deadline stream for the Australian Grand Prix will be Saturday. So lots of content to get excited about. I think we'll probably have 3 or 4 more videos on the channel before we get to my team selection. So yeah, lots to come. Getting close to 2 hours now, so I'm probably going to pack it in. Thank you guys for dropping through. On your way out, please drop a like on the video. First one off for the season. And we'll probably need to figure out a new laptop so we don't have any more crashes. But yeah, thank you so much for dropping through for the first race of the season, because it has been a banger. I'll go through some last couple of questions and then we'll wrap it up. Any word on Spurs at the moment? None that I've seen or paid attention to. Still interesting to see picking percentage. Yeah, I mean, that's quite telling for those two. Interesting Hulk so high. And Signs. Have they made changes so that all 3 teams can win prizes? Looks like it if you read the terms of service 3.14. Yeah. I think they have. I think all teams can win prizes. So I think why not enter all 3 teams into the league this year? I did make my team, my league, sorry. It should be on this tab here. Yeah, the league code is here. I will have that in the description of the video. It'll be on my Twitter page as well. But yeah. So in summary, like the last hour and 3/4, last couple hours, these are my key takeaways. I think positively, for a lot of assets, they got the prices right. I think Mercedes are right where I expect them to be. I think Max and George deserve to be the 2 highest priced drivers in the game. I definitely think there'll be a point in the season where they do come into our teams, but right now, because of how cheap Leclerc, Antonelli, Ferrari, Haas are, it seems foolish to deviate from them at this point. I think there's also some good changes around the user interface for leagues, and I do think that, as I said before, the opening up the prizes to all 3 teams in the global leagues is, I think, a positive thing. Things for, I wouldn't say improvement, because we'd have to wait another 12 months to wait and see if this actually happens, but things I was disappointed in not seeing, or things that perhaps were not what I expected them to be. The obvious one is Haas and Ferrari are grossly underpriced. Did not expect Ferrari to come in as low as they did, and I thought Haas would be the highest priced midfield constructor after testing. So I think a lot of people will own a double Ferrari, triple Haas lineup, similar to what you see on screen for the first race of the season. Also very disappointed there were no adjustments to the DNF penalty for a -20, as is the case with fastest lap and drive of the day, which is pretty much just a potluck competition. So yeah, I think there are some good things. There are certainly some problematic things, and I'm curious to see if that affects number of returning players in 2026. But that's pretty much it for now, guys. That was almost 2 hours. That went so quickly. I've been up since 3 o'clock. So 3 in the morning at 7:15 a.m. here, because I couldn't sleep. So I think I might get some rest for an hour and then start my day. But guys, again, on your way out, please do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. We're really trying to get towards 10,000 subscribers by the time we get to the first deadline of the season in Australia. But again, thank you so much for watching, guys. Really looking forward to what's in store for the rest of the season. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you all very soon.